Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we have with us Lee Caraher, who is the CEO of Forte PR and Digital Marketing. Welcome to the program, Lee.
Thank you, Mike. So glad to be with you.
So what's a Forte? That's jumping out at me right off the bat.
What is a Forte? Forte means very loud in music. It's a music notation.
Oh.
2 F's on the top of a score, and it means play as loud as you can. And that's what we do for our clients.
Awesome.
We make our clients as loud as they can to the people who need to hear them.
That is so awesome. I now that you say that, it makes sense to me. I play guitar, and you ought to see our house. If we could do a live shot of my living room, we literally look like we're a music store. My wife and kids play everything from cello to violin to banjo to mandolin and flute. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So Forte, that's awesome, really cool. And I love that double meaning of do it loud and don't just try. Don't just do a little bit of something. Jump in with both feet and do it. And I'm sure that's the kind of the focus of your firm.
It is, absolutely.
So what do you specialize in? What is the focus of how you interact and help clients?
So we're a public relations and digital marketing firm, which that means is we help our clients identify the audience they're trying to reach their business goals. And then we figure out how to get the information we need to them so they will engage with the company. So that might look like media relations. So having Rachel Ray cover our client or having the Wall Street Journal cover our client. It might look like on social media doing hashtags and photos and events that people can come to and be engaged with, or pop-ups and that kind of stuff. So anything that is communication-based, not purchased, that will help a client reach and get heard by the customer they're trying to reach is what we do.
Yeah, I love that because it's kind of like you got to do it in a certain way, because if you're too loud, people won't pay attention because you're annoying. Exactly. But you got to be just loud enough to capture their attention. So that makes a lot of sense.
True.
So I know that you also focus on employer-to-employee loyalty. So tell me a little bit about that.
So my business is now 15 years old. Actually, 15 years old today.
Hey, cool.
Which I never actually imagined that when I started this company 15 years ago. But in that time frame, of course, my company has changed many times. When I started my firm, Facebook didn't exist, Twitter didn't exist, LinkedIn didn't exist. None of those things that really take up about 50% of our work today existed. And in that in that transformation of the company, it really have gone through 4 or 5 iterations of how the company looks to serve the market that we serve. We hired lots of different people. And what I found as a leader, as a CEO, is that the people we're hiring today are very different from the people we hired when we first started the company. And I've shared what I've learned the very, very hard way in 2 books, Millennials Management, The Essential Guide to Making It Work at Work, and The Boomerang Principle, Inspiring Lifetime Loyalty from Your Employees, even when they don't work for you. Because I think with our clients and with my own company, the things that I grew up in, as learn in leadership and management, are not need to be updated for us to actually be sustainable businesses going forward. And I'm just trying to help people not have as much angst as I did about my business.
Yeah, you said something interesting that made me think of kind of a comment that Marcus Lemonis said recently on The Profit. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about, and I think this was on social media, but he was basically saying, people, it was a clip on the show. You know how he does those little segments, and he's just talking, and he goes, you know what, people say the customer's always right. And I say, no, the customer's not always right. And he turned it, and all of a sudden you're like, what? That's, everyone says that. And he turned it to say, I feel that if his 3 Ps, people, process, and product, and if you focus on your people, and you make them feel 1,000% better, and you make them feel like they walk on water, and you are focusing on them, then A, you have a solid internal foundation, and B, they can't help but to be so overflowing with that great feeling that it's going to carry over to your customer, which is going to provide great customer service. So you're probably not going to have those incidences where the customer is nickeling and diming you. Absolutely. What do you think about that mindset?
I watch The Profit. So, I mean, I'm on board with Marcus. And the thing about people, I work on, so much waste happens when there's anxiety in a company. And so much, and when I mean waste, I just mean time and money just goes out the door when your people are grinding on the fact that they don't feel appreciated, they don't have the right tools, they don't feel like anybody's invested in them. And you pay a lot of time to have a lot of waste on your bottom line, right? When you have a happy environment and you have a much better chance of having a high-producing environment. And a happy environment is a relatively conflict-free environment, and conflict is waste. And the more conflict and waste you can drive out of your organization by celebrating people and helping them understand how they can contribute to the success of the company, the more successful and sustainable your business will be.
And I would venture to say that a lot of people give lip service to that, and they're like, yeah, we, celebrate whatever. And I'll bet they don't. It's kind of like, hey, what percentage of your business comes from referral? Oh, that's the major percentage. But when you dig in, it's like we got 2 last year.
Right.
So what do you find from, like your book, Inspire a Lifetime Loyalty from Your Employees? What are some key things to keep in mind to do? That would be some quick tips. And then follow that up with what are some mistakes that you see companies make that are easily fixed?
I think I'll start with the mistake. The first mistake companies make is to count people off when they leave you, right? They say, you're dead to me. If you leave me, you're dead to me. And they really call loyalty the time that you're employed. And, of course, that is not loyalty. Loyalty is when you do something you do not have to do for somebody. When you're employed, you are getting paid. That is a transaction.
Yeah, right. So that's a good mindset.
That is not loyalty.
Yeah.
If you say, in today's world, every time someone leaves you for their own reason, they want to do something different. They aren't interested in being in a ketchup company anymore, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
They can hurt you or help you. And every company needs to do everything they can to help their employees who might be seeking a new space of their career, help them. So that's the first piece, right? In terms of then the second mindset thing is, you know what? How can we welcome people back to our companies? So in my company, every time someone leaves, I say, I hope you come back. I hope there's a time in the future where our needs and your needs, line up and we are reunited. And there are over 50% of companies until last year actually had policies against rehiring people. And I think that is very short-sighted because it's really limiting your job scope, limiting the opportunity when you're recruiting. Because
they might leave and find out it was darn good where I had it. I'm coming on back.
And someone who returns to you is such a good message. First of all, you're in charge if you rehire them or not. You don't have to rehire anybody, right? Yep. But if a high performer comes back either in a year or in 5 years, it's such a great message because a company that is easy to return to is a company that is hard to leave. And in today's world, the less waste we have with turnover, again, the higher percentage of sustainability there is. We should not assume that everyone who we hire is going to stay with us forever. We know they're going to leave us. We hire them, we know they're going to leave, so it's not a surprise, right? But sort of marrying our opportunity with, as a company, to each person's understanding of their own responsibility for their own careers, that's where the sweet spot is. So those are a couple of things. And I think the one thing a company can do, every company needs, that most companies don't have, is a formal alumni club that they run. You can set this, you keep in touch with people that you put in either you can create your own software for this or use private Facebook groups or that kind of thing. Don't put it on LinkedIn because it's too open. But, and keep in touch with everybody who's ever left you. And when you're posting a new job, put it there first because maybe someone has an idea for you. And if you reward your current employees for bringing you recruits and someone you hire, reward your former employees for the same.
Yeah, because if you did it the right way and if you high-fived and said, I hope you come back one day, then when they're part of that alumni club, of course they're going to be a great mouthpiece for you.
Exactly. And that's
I've never
where
heard
the loyalty
that before.
shows
That's
up.
really a cool idea.
It's not very the big consulting firms have been doing this for a long time. That is their business model. Someone comes into McKinsey, they leave, they get hired by a client, they then hired McKinsey. It's a big kind of thing.
Yep.
And this is very sort of a new phenomena that I'm very much trying to show companies of every size that they have a benefit for.
I think that's really awesome. Let's think of one more kind of a unique tidbit like that would stimulate some loyalty or employee retention even.
I think that people stay when they know they're contributing to something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they feel appreciated, when they feel like they're learning, when they feel like their career matters, right? And I think for all of us, no matter who we are and no matter what company we run, we want our companies to be badges of honor on our resume, right? So that really is a dual thing, right? So it's, where do you want to go, Mike? What is your career? What do you think you want to do? How is your time at my company going to help you do that? And that does two things. One, it puts the onus on the employee to direct their own career. And this is a relatively new phenomena as a wave, right? It's not up to the company to provide the career. It's up to the person to create the career, right?
Yeah.
Number one. And then two, if you don't ask, you will not get, right?
Yeah.
And so
Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, right? And you're not going to get everything you ask for, but if you can say, this is what I want to do, and your manager, your company can say, you're not ready for that, but let's see how we can start, building that skill base. And we might say, you know what, we don't do that, but what you can do while you're here and you're going to get so much value out of, and we're going to get value out of you doing that here, is this, this, and this. When there's environment of that, people stay longer, which helps, right? And it just takes that whole angst of, I'm looking for a job, off the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I can foresee some teeny little office politic interaction issues that might creep up aren't as big of a deal anymore. But yet, if it was the other way around, it's like this one little thing was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly. And I think that's, it's messy. I mean, I think we went through a whole time where HR gets a lot of malignment, right? They get hit all the time. But it was everyone was sort of checking boxes. Well, people are messy. And the checking box thing really doesn't work for people's careers other than trying to get skill base. And when you take that out, and particularly for millennials, so these people who are under 35 years old today, they expect to have 4 or 5 careers, totally different careers today.
Yeah.
I've been in the same career my whole life. That's very unusual. No one would expect that today coming into the workplace. So when you understand that, you're able to, sort of understand that, one, don't not invest in people because you think they're going to leave. Invest faster in people so that they'll actually end up staying.
Yeah, and that mimics the mindset of, it costs way more money to get a new customer than to retain a current customer. So invest money into your current customers, and that can take on a lot of, examples. But the same thing applies for your current employees. There's a cost involved. I've had conversations with HR people that say, and it changes, it's a moving target, but when someone leaves, it costs the organization X to off-board, on-board, search, find, loss of momentum, all of that. So it's a real thing. It
is money on the table. So I can tell you when I started hiring millennials in my company in 2010, so 7 years ago, I didn't really think anything of it, and we were terrible at it. Oh, my goodness. And my whole career before then, I had been the person to work for. I never had a problem hiring and retaining people. And we hired 6 millennials within 8 weeks of each other, and they were all gone from the company within 3 months.
Wow.
And this was a body blow. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I couldn't have made 6 mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm a really good hirer of people. I mean, I had hired thousands of people up until that moment. And before I started this company, which is much smaller. But one person could have been a mistake, but 6 could not be a mistake. So I really started looking at what we were doing. And what we were doing was great for our older employees, but didn't work. And that's when we sort of and everything I read about millennials was so negative. I was like, I'm just going to ignore all that stuff. And so I started looking at the numbers of it, and in San Francisco in 2012, the average tenure of a millennial under 30 was about 14 months. That's so expensive. And that's unusual. It's usually short at that moment in time, but it actually wasn't that much longer. The base was maybe 24 months, the rest of the country. And my goal was I want to double it. In my company, I will know that we've succeeded when our tenure under 30 is twice as long as the average in San Francisco. And then today, our average tenure for someone under 30 is 4.5 years.
Wow.
So we have, and that's money. That's just money on the table, right? It is not.
Well, it's money, it's momentum. I mean, trying to catch someone up to speed, that plays into opportunity cost. Like, oh man, we were working on these 4 projects, and now we got to stop the presses. We got to train someone else, acclimate them. That's just such a huge metric. You always
have to do, right? You always have to do that. But if you have people leave who are leaving well, right? And this is how you leave your company well, like you leave for vacation well, by tying everything up in a bow, by letting people know where you are in all projects, by outlining what the deadlines are and the dependencies are, and don't let these things go through the cracks. So it is also up to the employee to leave well so that they are boomerang eligible. And when you have this ecosystem of return, that expectation to take care of the people that you're going to leave, people don't want to let other people down. And I think that's just human nature. And when we activate that, number one, people don't leave as fast. People don't let other people down as fast. And when they do leave to pursue something new, they don't let any balls fall on the way out.
I love it. It's perfect. So let's wrap up with what's the best way that people can learn more about your firm, as well as pick up a copy of one or multiple of your books.
Sure. So my firm is double-forte.com. You can find it on my own website, www.leecaraher, LEECARAHER.com, where you can find my agency, you can find my books, you can find my podcasts, and you can find my other blogging. On Twitter, I'm at Lee Caraher. I'm very easy to find, at Lee Caraher, and I talk about this as much as I possibly can.
Awesome. Well, Lee, thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful getting to know you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.